The panel is all the way over there, but luckily I've got a remote control. Press that button again, and off it goes. That's the setup. How are you doing? I'm Martin from Gardens for Life. In this video we're going to do something more homesteading related, or even a bit off-grid. We installed a diesel heater in our studio and it is doing a fantastic job. By my calculation, it is about 4 times cheaper, or 1/4 of the price of electricity or electric heat, and it's much safer for your health than burning gas inside of the building. Plus you can be a little bit more self-reliant and be off-grid as well. So if the electricity does happen to go down, if there's a storm and the power goes down, well then you can still have your heat source running. Because we're running off a battery here, you could connect up a solar panel to that to keep it topped up, but our roof is unfortunately oriented the other way. We're going to just install a charger for that for now. It's not what it looks like. It is heating oil. You can either burn diesel or kerosene. This is a regular old PG battery. That's a lead acid leisure battery. It's a deep cycle battery. And the air comes in here, gets sucked in here, and goes through around the element inside here, the heating element, and it comes out through this pipe here into the building. Gonna insulate this bit here so we don't have any heat loss, and we're gonna build a little box around this. It's gonna be nice. Here's the exhaust. And this is the air inlet with this bit here. That's not actually an air filter, it's only there to create the right back pressure. And you can see the fuel pump here working away. And it is a completely self-contained unit. As you can see, no wires other than the ones to the battery and out to the panel. So there is nothing plugged into it. We are going to plug in a charger to keep that battery topped up though. A really interesting thing about diesel and kerosene is that there is about 10,000 kilowatts, 10,000 watts or 10 kilowatts per litre in kerosene or diesel, and that means you have 100,000 watts or 100 kilowatts per 10 litre tank like that. So that stores an awful lot of energy. That's 50 hours worth of electric heat at 2 kilowatts. So that's a lot, and this building is very well insulated with polyurethane and rock wool and wood. It goes a long way. This is the temperature in here at the moment. It's the time. That's the voltage of the battery. That's the intensity, so it's 1 to 10. You can change that to temperature apparently. 8 degrees on the machine outside now, on the actual burner, but that'll go up to 200 once it starts pumping fuel. I think it's just using the glow plug to warm up and prepare the chamber at the moment, which is that little symbol here. And now it's pumping fuel. That's one other reason why I kept the machine outside, the actual heater, because the pump does make quite a bit of noise. Of course, nothing compared to the vent. It takes about 5 minutes to start up and to shut down. So you can see here, it's warming up the element inside of the heater at the moment. And it's going to go up to about 200 degrees. But it takes 5 minutes. Also to cool down it also takes 5 minutes as well. So it keeps the fan going even after you turn off the thing. One major advantage to keeping the heater outside is that you're blowing fresh air into the building, and it's obviously heated, and that means you're not pulling air out of the building and pulling cold air into every little gap. So instead we're pumping hot air, fresh hot air into the building, and we're using thermodynamics to our advantage. Obviously hot air goes up and it pushes down all the cold air, and then the cold air goes in under the door. Definitely warming up now. Let me turn it up a bit. So it's quiet enough when you have it on a low setting, and when you turn it up to 10 it's like a turbine. I mean it's starting to warm up now anyway, as the fan is also speeding up along with that as it's increasing the fuel intake. And you can see the temperature of the engine here, those bars. It uses quite a lot of power, 140 watts in the beginning for the first 3 or 4 minutes. But that doesn't do the battery any harm. Just be aware of it if you have to plug in a charger and you're not using a battery. I would highly recommend using a battery one way or another. After that it uses about 40 watts. So nice, it's like a big hairdryer. And it's definitely putting out a lot more heat than this thing here. However, I don't think it's 8 kilowatts. I'd say it's more like 3 kilowatts like some of the tests have shown on YouTube University. But what a great heater it is. That is getting too hot now to hold my hand in front. Say it's about 100 degrees. Let's see what we're up to here. 10 minutes into it. There you go. We're nearly at operating temperature now. I know what you're thinking. If you put the heater outside, surely you must be losing some of that heat. If you could have put it inside, you would have caught all of it, except for maybe some of the heat coming from the exhaust. In particular, that's where most of your heat loss is. But the body of the heater also loses a little bit of heat, not too much, and this pipe here. So I'm thinking just insulate this part, and of course keep the air vent open so that we do not obstruct that. For fire safety reasons, we won't be messing with the exhaust. Well, the main reason why we put the heater outside is because of the noise of it. It's just quieter inside the building, but also because we didn't want to take up too much space. But one more reason, we're taking fresh air from here and we're heating it and pushing it into the building, so that's a major advantage. Even though we put the heater outside and we're dropping probably 30% of the heat, or we're losing 30% of the heat, it's still way cheaper and way more efficient than running electric heat, obviously. Apparently 80% of all the electricity produced is actually lost by the time it gets to the consumer. But also because electricity is probably about 40 cents a unit per kilowatts, and this thing here probably costs about 10 cents per kilowatt, somewhere around that. So it's about a quarter anyway, by my calculations. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Please bear in mind this building is actually very well insulated with 50 mil of polyurethane and 10 centimeters, 100 mil of rock wool as well. So a little bit of heat goes a long way. But I love this. This is great. It's literally such a simple setup, and it's just off grid. If the power goes down, I've still got heat, as long as I can charge this battery. But it takes very little once it's running. I think 40 watts is all it uses during operation. And it does say that here too. I watched some videos of people actually testing that. Although in the beginning it does use 140 watts for the first few minutes, I guess, to initiate the start sequence. So be aware, you need to have a big enough battery to cover that, or charger. So I've been using the gas heater for a couple of years to actually heat this building, and to be honest with you, I think it's not good for your health. When you think about it, it's burning the gas and all the fumes go into the room, and I'm not doing that anymore. It is simply too risky, and it makes sense not to burn fuels inside of a building without an exhaust. The electric heat obviously is a relatively clean situation, at least in the building that you're using it in. But then where is the electricity produced and what do they produce it with? Well, it's coming from far away, and also it's probably only 20% efficient by the time it travels here. So it's also gone up to mad money, 40 cent a unit. Who can afford that? Especially for heating purposes, electric was never actually that cheap to begin with, or that efficient. So kerosene to air heaters are brilliant because you get fresh air pumped into the building or into the room, very efficient and very cheap energy. And as a bonus, you can store your heating energy in canisters and you'll have it there if you ever need it, so you're off grid. There you go. That's on the other side of the room. That was only maybe 15 minutes. The manual is okay. The English in the manual is not great, and the diagrams are a little bit low resolution, so you can hardly make out which part is which. However, a bit of common sense will get you through this. I haven't really read all of this, but one thing is to keep the fuel line above at least 15 degrees. So you have to install the fuel tank a little bit higher than your heater. Mainly I needed some help with the settings here on this thing. And there is a video on YouTube that's 2 minutes long and it explains a couple of bits to you. Unfortunately, of course, every display or every unit is a little bit different. So the button combinations don't always work. So when the box arrives, you get really excited. You open the box and you find lots of little bits and pieces that all come with the heater, so it's really handy. Everything comes with it that you need to install it, except for a hole saw. However, once you look at the manual, you just get confused. So probably the best way to deal with it is to just get started and to even look up a couple of videos about these heaters on YouTube or Odyssey. You'll figure it out. It was easy to install. I'm not one for reading manuals much, so I just went ahead and installed it and it was okay. It went fine. Thanks for watching the video, I really appreciate it, and if you have any questions or comments, just leave those below, whatever platform you're watching this on, whether it's on YouTube or Rumble or Odyssey, we're on all of them. If you want to see more homesteading type videos, well, let us know and take a look at our channel. We have lots of other videos. We have about 250 of them now, mostly about gardening, growing food and all the rest. We're also making lots of videos about homesteading now, especially this time of year when we're busy doing our homesteading projects just before the winter and before the big harvest of our tuberous vegetables. By the way, you can get those on the website as well. Again, thanks for watching and we'll see you the next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye. This is great.
You already found another use for the event.